All right, specific to MarcoRock, top 10 fails or mistakes that Randy and I have made, and actually really the whole BRS team here has made.
Oh yeah.
We've made all of these mistakes. You can learn from us so you don't have to repeat them. All right, so number one, stability counts.
Yeah, so don't overlook using the foundation rock, that flat edge, perfect for all of your aquascaping on the bottom of the tank, even if you're not using this other MarcoRock, but it will be super stable.
I think that's the point here, actually. Even if you're not using MarcoRock, you're using some sort of live rock or even a different color rock or anything, having these machined flat surfaces not only provides a ton of stability, so it allows it to sit flat on the bottom of the tank, but also in a bare bottom tank allows it to kind of like erupt out of the bottom instead of looking like a boulder that's just kind of balanced on there. But even if you had a little bit of sand, again, it looks like a little bit of an island just peeking up out of the sand, but providing that stability at the same time. All right, if you're using MarcoRock, I spent a lot of time on this summer, so check it out.
Yeah, so don't make the mistake of not watching Ryan's video on NSA or negative space aquascape, but you're not stuck to just these big giant chunks of boulder. You can actually do something even more impressive.
Yeah, so you can create a totally open aquascape, and you do that by just breaking this rock up into pieces and then reassembling it into the actual structure that you want. So the old days of just stacking boulders on top of boulders and hoping for the best, those are probably your first or even second tank, but like once you get beyond that and you want to create something really special for your next tank, break it all up into pieces and then watch that video because you can see how to create something really special and unique to your system. All right, so number three, I just learned this year.
Yeah, so when he was making that NSA aquascape, you know, we made the mistake of overlooking this mortar stuff, but in the end, this actually turned out to be the exact tool you were looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I just never felt the need to use mortar to hold it all together. Use super glue in most cases. But if I want to create something that has kind of an impossible look, I'll often use the super glue and the accelerator to hold it there. And now I'll wrap it in the mortar as well. Not only will it create a really strong joint, but it will actually blend the whole thing into one shape as well. Again, you'll see that in the NSA videos, but like what I really want to create is an aquascape that looks, you know, seamless and uniform. You can use the mortar to do that. And just for reference point, I'm sure there's a bunch of mortars you can use out there, but this is a mortar that's designed to cure underwater. It also has a like a polymer in there that it gives it just a little bit of flex, which will make it stronger as well. All right, so number four, I gave it away just a little bit.
Yeah, so the opposite end of mortar is the super glue, but I think the real winner is the accelerator. So don't overlook this stuff. You know, you can put super glue, extra thick super glue, and aquascape with it, put it underwater, and it kind of builds that crust over the super glue. But if you really want it to hold long enough for you to get the mortar on and get that to hold, the accelerator is the key.
Yeah, so basically, if I want to make it do this,
nearly impossible. Yeah,
I can with the accelerator.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to just put a big glob of glue on the bottom, and then I'll accelerate it in 30 seconds. It'll actually stay. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here, and you'd be surprised how strong it can be in 30 seconds. So the one trick I'll tell you right now is you're going to go through a lot more Instaset or Accelerator than you think, because it's just such a cool tool to rapidly build what you want. And if you want, you can actually break it apart and reassemble as you kind of learn the type of aquascape that you're trying to build. All right, so number five, at least consider if this is the right solution for you.
Yeah, so mistaking that, you know, this dry rock, this mined rock, since it's not live rock and it didn't come directly from the ocean, it's going to have a naturally longer cycle.
Yeah, so you can actually start soaking it the moment you think about your tank. So if you're thinking about setting up a tank in the future, you can take this rock right now, throw it in the bin, and while you're doing the planning for the tank, you're thinking about what you're going to do, in a few months, by the time you've actually completed all of those decisions, the rock is actually ready. And there's a couple of things you can do with that rock. You can throw some food in there. You can even throw some fish in that, you know, your tub, just to get it ready and cycled for your tank. But note this. If you're going to then take it out and break it apart or do some really advanced aquascaping and let it dry out, it's kind of for naught. So that's why it's kind of the right tool, right job. You got to think about the solution you're going to do. If you're largely just going to stack the rock, soak it beforehand. It will do a way better job in cycling, and it will skip some of the headaches that some new reefers face. All right, number 6. People know they're supposed to do this, but don't always do it.
Yeah, so don't overlook cardboard. And cardboard is a frame that you can build, or a box that you can build. The size and dimensions of your tank will actually help you keep rock away from the edges of the tank. Make sure you have, plan out space for flow and a whole bunch of different things just by mapping out the size of your tank in cardboard.
Yeah, so if you map it out with the cardboard, you can put the tape around and then keep all the rocks just a couple inches away from the edges. You get a general idea of the height and everything. And you can actually use cardboard to build the walls of the tank too, so you know that you're really fitting inside of the aquascape that you're looking for. Number 7, what I'd really do, because it's better.
Yeah, so don't overlook building a PVC frame. You can do this really cheap to build, just get some cheap PVC and some of those 3-way, 4-way fittings, and you can actually build your tank in 3D and then aquascape inside of it.
I think those fittings are like a couple of bucks on our website. They're like furniture grade fittings. You can't really find those things at Home Depot, so don't go looking for them.
That's true.
But you can get the pipe. So I wouldn't buy super fancy colored pipe for this, even though I've done that in the past. Use some cheap pipe that just your standard PVC, but pick up these fittings and you can create a 3D image. And now I can work on it from every angle and keep in mind the shape that I'm trying to stay within. It'll produce a way better result. We're talking like maybe $15, $20 and something you're gonna enjoy for a decade. It's definitely worth it. Number 8, I think this is going to fall on deaf ears because it usually does, but you should listen to it anyway.
Yeah, don't make the mistake of trying to not waste a single pound. I mean, there's a lot of people that you go on the forums and they say, how much rock do I need in my tank? Well, it's a pound per gallon or what have you. Many people over or under buy their rock. So 100 pounds gets me this far, and I just don't want to buy 150.
Yeah, so for me, the number one thing is you got to match this to your budget. So it just is what it is. But, if you're on a tight budget, try to get, the exact number of rocks that you need. However, if your goal here is actually to create the best aquascape you can, there is near zero chance that you're going to get the exact pieces you need for that with zero waste.
Yeah.
So if I want to be able to create something really unique and cool, what I'm going to need is actually more rock than I need. So if I need 100 pounds, getting something closer to 130 or 140 will give me all of the different shapes and tools to create something really unique, and then I can do something special. Anybody who's ever built anything out of rock, whether it even be just in landscaping, will know that you can't do it with the exact number. You often need to go over that to give you the tools that you need for the project. Number 9, this produces some of the coolest aquascapes out there.
Yeah, don't overlook the MarcoRocks Shelf rock. A specific example in this one is our 750XXL that Joe from Unique did, and he also did Greg Carroll's. But what he made was something not only like stickheads and SPS lovers like myself would love, because there's tons of area for you to put your sticks, but it also looks really cool, those different layers.
Yeah, it's kind of got like a lateral grain to it. It's pretty neat as this plates out. And again, if you're into SPS corals, so much surface area for that. So, it has been machined flat, so it costs a little bit more. It's not just some rock they collected. So it does have a price tag attached to it. But there are some really cool things out there. Again, Greg Carroll has one, and as well as the one they built for us in the 750. So consider that as an option for sure. All right, so number 10, I think this is actually one of the more valuable things we can share.
Yeah, so we've kind of said it, but in a different context, but it's a mistake to not go ahead, and if you're thinking about your tank and getting a tank, buying your rock now before you start anything else. Maybe you have the tank or the tank dimensions, but there's so much that you can do with your rock on hand while you wait for everything else.
Particularly if this isn't your first rodeo.
Yeah.
And so if it's your first rodeo, actually putting it in, soaking it in water will help you succeed in the beginning. But even more than that is actually doing like what we're doing with the NSA rock and building something really unique. Is that actually took Dave and I, 2 people, a 40-hour work week to create that thing and just messing around. The little one, I spent my whole vacation in my driveway, perfecting that little thing. And here's the thing, like a little bit of my heart and soul went into that solution. And so when I build a tank around it, just a different level of pride in it. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a chunk of each of your weekend to build something that cool. So while you're kind of considering all the other stuff, pick up the rock and start the hobby right now. So if there's only one thing that you heard today, let it be this.
I think for me, it's got to be the super glue and accelerant. Like, not only good for mounting frags to frag plugs, but even better when it comes to piecing together your Aquascape before you seal the deal with the mortar. It just holds a heck of a lot better and a heck of a lot faster.
Specifically if you're producing impossible shapes and overhangs that carry a lot of weight. For me, it's actually the NSA thing. This was the biggest revelation of the year for me in building aquascapes for my own tanks, and that now instead of stacking rocks on top of each other and creating a typical wall or a series of islands, I'm creating something unique that doesn't exist anywhere else. I did it myself. I spent a lot of time on it, and because of that, it's an extension of the hobby that feels special to me, and I really like sharing it with it. So there's a video on this. I'd actually say go all the way to the end so you can see the end result of it,
come back.
and then go watch how we created it. You can see that video right here. If you want to see all of the Marco different rock types over on the BRS site, you can see it right here.